Mr. McAllister, before I start, I just have a quick question on order, so as not to be interrupted.
Please identify yourself for the record, sir.
Rob Cote, 1 second. So the last time we did this, at the last ratification, Mr. Lattisaw asked for a legal opinion from Council Solicitor Harrington as to if the residents could ask questions to specific council members. And the answer was, in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, residents have the right to ask questions to specific council members. Are we still going under the guidelines of the Open Meetings Act that we can ask questions to our council members?
Ask your questions.
Okay, great.
This is your opportunity.
Thank you. So, Mr. McAllister, the first question that I have for you is, what schedule is the fire department currently on? What work schedule are we on?
Administration?
Well, Mr. McAllister, I'm asking you that question.
The administration is excuse me.
Mr. President, point of order.
Excuse me.
I would like to have an opinion from the legal counsel as to...
You are not recognized, Councilman Lattisaw.
Excuse me.
You are not recognized, Councilman Lattisaw.
Point of order.
You are not recognized at this time, Councilman Lattisaw.
So you refuse to answer the question.
I will speak to the solicitor.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can ask your questions. I'm going to have the administration answer the questions, and you will get any questions you have answered.
Okay, well, just so to put on the record, you're in violation of the Open Meetings Act because it was specifically stated. I actually have.
Do you have any questions on ratification at this time?
And I have that audio here if you'd like me to.
Okay, thank you. So, do you have any questions on the ratification of the contract?
Yes. The first question was to you, Mr. McAllister. Do you currently know what schedule or what fire department's on?
Administration?
Let the record show that the councilman does not answer the question.
We are getting the answer for you at this time, sir. Chief, just identify yourself for the record, please.
Peter McMichael, Water Fire Chief. The question I moved to a schedule. Are we on? We work the 24-hour Boston schedule.
Thank you. So, if you go to page 21 on the contract, it specifically states that the city may elect to opt out of the Boston schedule upon showing that the Boston schedule resulted in increased costs and no savings. The reason I asked this question was at the last ratification process, Mr. McAllister and Mr. Howe told how this contract would save $600,000. Myself and other people told you that it wasn't going to save any more money, but in fact, over the course of the contract, it would be caused to increase the taxpayers' contribution by about $4 million, which you were correct. Why haven't we opted out of the Boston schedule since it clearly shows an increase in the cost to the taxpayer?
Administration?
There are many factors that went into the cost of overtime, such as injuries, the pandemic, COVID-related outages that were not related to overtime that would be created had those events not occurred.
Okay, question from Mr. McAllister. Have you reviewed the official documents pertaining to sick time leading up to the ratification?
Administration?
Well, I'm asking if you reviewed them. Did you actually look at them as part of the contract? Did you look at them?
Mr. Cote, we are here to ask questions to the administration and the union who are presenting this.
We're here to ask you.
I'm asking you a question.
Okay, that's fine. So let the record show that the council president was unable to answer that question. So I'll continue. So let me ask this question, Mr. McAllister. Do you know how many sick days we had in this past contract?
Administration?
Let the record show that the councilman was unable to answer that question. Go ahead, administration.
Was the question how many sick days in total were taken?
Correct.
We don't have that information with us right now.
Okay, let the record show that the chief of the fire department Let me ask Mr. Schaefer, do you know how many sick days there were in the fire department in 2022?
Sick leaves is your question? Dollar value?
No, how many sick days?
I don't know the answer to that question.
Let the record show that the finance director did not know the answer to the question.
Oh, come on.
So, the resident knows the answer to the question, and the question was, how many sick days? There were 1,948 sick days that were taken by the fire department last year, with numerous members taking 20, 30, 40, and even in excess of 50 sick days. Given that amount of sick time, is it reasonable to ask the question, are these people actually healthy for the job? Someone can answer that.
I don't believe that is in the contract, sir.
You don't believe what's in the contract?
Your opinion if they were healthy or not.
Actually, it is, because if you look at the back of the section, it says that the department will maintain a physical health system to ensure that all employees are healthy enough for the job. It's right in the contract, so it is relevant.
Chief?
Being a member fire chief, could you repeat the question, please?
My question is, with people taking in excess of 50 days sick time, is the department healthy?
Yes.
Okay. Really? So, let me give you some statistics. So, the Bureau of Labor Statistics has data on sick time taken from all industries across the United States, including police and fire. I have all the sick time records of this department since 2014. What the data shows, up until 2018, 42% of the Warwick Fire Department took sick time far in excess of the average across all industries, including police and fire. If you recall, in June of 2018, when we were here, and we proved that the unused sick time scheme was affecting overtime and monies that were paid out, Mayor Solomon stopped that practice in June of 2016 as the department was taking advantage of that mathematical formula. However, what the statistics show and the official city data shows immediately after that was stopped in June of 2018, in July of 2018, sick time dramatically increased from 42% to 67.1%, far and above the average sick time. So, the data also shows that, for the most part, the highest amount of sick days that were taken from the same people year after year. And you actually have people from 2018, 19, and 20, the beginning of 2020, that took over 100 sick days. So it's reasonable to assume, do we have a healthy department? So the reason that I question this scenario, seeing that we saw this manipulation in the past from 2013 to 18, which we're now in court over, the data suggests only one of two things. It's a math equation, right? You can simply see the math. The facts suggest that either we have a really unhealthy department, or the system's being manipulated. It's only one of two things, right? So we need to get a grip on that. My next question, are there any parameters on how often someone can be sick without being evaluated?
Chief?
Yes, if a member is out for more than 2 consecutive shifts, they can be evaluated by a physician.
Okay, section 8 indicates that. So out of the 1,948 sick days, with numerous people up to 56 sick days, how many times, and I'm not asking for any HIPAA stuff, but how many times were departmental personnel asked to provide a doctor's recommendation before coming back to work?
Chief?
I don't have the data for how many times we required to go. Anytime a member was out for more than 2 consecutive shifts, we were required documentation.
So, would you agree that you have hundreds of notes allowing people to come back after being sick for more than 2 consecutive days?
I do not have that data on this.
Any estimate?
No.
Okay. So I want to ask a couple of questions about unused sick pay, and I'll ask you, Mr. City Council, since the Open Meetings Act allows me to do that by law. Can you tell us how many unused sick days are in the bank right now for the Warwick Fire Department?
Chief?
Let the record show that the council president can't answer that question either.
Fire Chief Peter McMichael, I don't have that data available right now.
Let the record show that the fire chief doesn't have that data. Can I ask Mr. Schaefer that question? Mr. Schaefer, how many unused sick days does the Warwick Fire Department have in the bank?
Once again, I only have the dollar value, I don't have it in days.
You have the dollar value of how many unused sick days?
So it was fiscal year 22. It was a little over 700,000 for unused sick time and a little over 500,000 for sick time.
So I'm not asking what it was for 2022. I'm asking you how many sick days, unused sick days that are accumulated in the bank total for the department. Do you have that data?
All I have is dollar values.
Okay. So, as you know, according to the contract, if every year in February that data is released, I would have thought that you would have been ready to answer those questions and have that data. So as of the February 2022 report, there was 22,510 days in the bank.
1 minute.
Mr. Schaefer, can you tell us what the dollar value of that is? You really cut me short because I'm timing it here.
All I can do is repeat the figures for fiscal year 22.
Okay, so what the answer is you have a $12 million liability that's in the bank. And through this contract, with this 10% cumulative raise, that has an impact of $1.2 million that the taxpayers will ultimately have to pay. Mr. Schaefer, did you include that into your fiscal note, that the impact on these raises, how it would impact the unused sick time that's in the bank?
Yes or no?
Just a yes or no question.
There's we have a projection in each year how much the value of the sick time will be, both used and unused in each year of the contract. That's in the fiscal.
Right, but this is in the bank that ultimately the taxpayers have to pay. And this increase impacts that by $1.2 million. That figure is not included in the fiscal note. And because of that, your fiscal note is defective, and this council should ask for those numbers because it's a liability that we will eventually have to pay.
Time's up, Mr. Cote.
And just